So imagine you're trying to fight this massive war on an open battlefield, but you are totally unaware that a treacherous spy is like actively sabotaging your city from within the very walls.
Yeah, that is a terrifying thought.
Right. And that is exactly how St. Gregory the Great describes trying to fight spiritual battles while, letting your physical appetites run wild. And we're pulling today's deep dive from www.epistles.online, which is a great site that promotes a really balanced take on Catholicism. They intentionally avoid, both modernism and radical, unhealthy traditionalism.
Yeah, they have some really fantastic resources over there.
They really do. And looking at St. Gregory's writings on there, he doesn't just treat gluttony as a bad habit. He frames it as this actively destructive internal enemy. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Well, the psychology behind his argument is actually really striking.
Yeah.
Because St. Gregory argues that if you don't tame the physical appetite first, you've pretty much already lost the broader spiritual war.
Oh, wow. So it's like a prerequisite.
Exactly. It really comes down to the mechanics of the human will. Like, if you allow yourself to be defeated by the immediate mundane demands of your belly, your mind is actually getting conditioned to surrender.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Right. And you get weighed down by the quiet disgrace of that constant tiny defeat. And that leaves you entirely too feeble to face, much larger spiritual dangers.
Okay, so it's a compounding effect. Like, if I can't say no to a simple craving, I'm certainly not going to stand firm during a major moral crisis. But I have to ask, is St. Gregory saying that a hearty appetite actually ruins our spiritual defenses, or is this just poetic hyperbole?
No, he definitely views it as a literal, mechanical breakdown of your virtues. And he uses this really fascinating scriptural connection from 2 Kings chapter 25, verse 8 to illustrate it.
Oh, right. What does that verse say?
So the scripture notes that the chief of the cooks destroyed the walls of Jerusalem.
Wait, the chief of the...
Yes. And St. Gregory interprets those walls as the protective virtues of the soul. And the chief of the cooks, well, that represents the belly.
Oh, man, that is so good. So the cooks are dismantling the defenses.
Brick by brick. When that appetite is unrestrained, they just tear down your spiritual walls.
Man, if our spiritual walls are constantly under that kind of internal siege, we obviously need tools to fortify them. Which brings me to a really cool modern resource for doing exactly that, a new app called Sanctifi.
Oh, yeah. Sanctifi is great.
It really is. It's spelled Saintifi, but read as Sanctify, and it's from Sophia Institute Press. And basically, it gives you access to hundreds of Catholic ebooks, audiobooks, and sacred music from trusted authors.
All right there on your phone.
Exactly. All in one place, right on your screen for just $9.99 a month. It's a fantastic way to reinforce those spiritual walls. And you can find links to check it out over at www.epistles.online. So anyway, getting back to St. Gregory, how exactly is this internal enemy dismantling the walls? I mean, it's not just about, eating huge quantities of food, right?
No, not at all. He actually maps out a multi-front war with 5 distinct traps.
5? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's about how the appetite hijacks the intellect. So, for instance, the first trap is just anticipating meal times. He points to Jonathan eating honey before the appointed time.
Oh, right. Jumping the gun, basically.
Exactly. Then there's seeking daintier or richer food, which he illustrates with the Israelites demanding meat instead of manna.
They just couldn't be satisfied with what they had.
Right. And the third trap is demanding really careful preparation, like the sons of Eli wanting raw meat specifically so they could cook it with exact precision.
Oh, they wanted a whole culinary experience.
Yes. And then fourth is exceeding a moderate quantity, which he connects to the fall of Sodom being rooted in a fullness of bread.
Wow. Okay, what's the fifth one?
The fifth one is desiring even basic food with excessive eagerness. And he uses the famous example of Esau selling his birthright for a bowl of lentils.
Okay, right. And knowing the biblical context there, it's just crazy that Esau trades his entire future lineage for something as rudimentary as lentil stew.
It really is crazy.
I mean, it's the most basic, boring food imaginable. It shows that the mechanism of the trap isn't really the luxury of the item, but just the complete surrender of the will.
Yes, and what's fascinating here is that this is St. Gregory's ultimate aha moment. Yeah. It is not the food itself that is the fault, but the desire.
So the material being consumed doesn't really matter.
Completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, Elias preserved his heroic virtue while eating actual flesh in the desert, whereas Esau committed a grave sin over basic vegetables.
Wow, that is a stark contrast.
It is. The ancient enemy knows this psychological vulnerability perfectly. I mean, it's exactly why he tempted the first man with a simple apple.
Oh man, and Jesus in the desert with plain bread.
Exactly. The trap is just the desire itself.
It's a total surrender of sovereignty, which kind of leaves us with an uncomfortable but, necessary thought for you to consider today. The next time you feel an overwhelming craving, ask yourself, are you consuming the food, or is your desire consuming you?
That is a very vital question to ponder. And this deep dive again is taken from www.epistles.online, Guarding the Deposit of Faith.